Hello and welcome to the channel. This is just the basics of, and we're going to be starting with just the basics of PowerShell. This is the very first video, so it's going to be slightly different than the others because we're also going to have an introduction today, and we're also going to have the PowerShell versus PowerShell ISE, as well as Get Help. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this series, this is based off just the basics of learning series that I have, and it is going to be a set of books. Just the basics of PowerShell, which this series is based on, is already available on Amazon. And we have just the basics of regex coming very soon. And we're going to have Excel VBA, Pandas Python, and machine learning coming soon. Now, these are all geared towards teachers, lawyers, students, office workers, individuals who are not the typical IT individual. Is what I'm wanting is to teach everyone how to automate their job, how to make things a little bit better, a little bit smoother, so then they can focus on maybe getting done with their day a little bit faster, spending time with family and friends, or getting rid of everything that could be automated so they can focus on the parts of your job that you actually enjoy, not some of this administrative things that are just tedious that Excel, PowerShell, Pandas, Python could do better. And so for this PowerShell series, these are the different topics that we're going to cover. And all of these are the different chapters within the book. And so we're going to try and follow the book fairly closely in the examples that we're going to do. We're going to maybe give a little bit more details here, some in the video, sometimes a little bit more details are within the book. So if you want to check out the book, follow along, awesome. If you're not wanting the book, you're just wanting to check out the video series, that's also fine as well. And so we are just going to cover the introduction of the book for today. And that had the two topics I mentioned earlier, PowerShell versus PowerShell ISE, as well as getting and finding help for any of the commandlets that we're going to be discussing later in this series. So for PowerShell, I'm calling PowerShell just the very basic, the vanilla one, the one that you can open up directly within the directory, which is extremely helpful. That's very nice. And I only use it for something very quick. I'm just wanting to look quickly at the contents of something. I just know quickly what I'm wanting to do, and I might just open up a directory, immediately do something there. Generally, that's not the case. 90+% of the time, I will use PowerShell ISE. And that ISE is the integrated scripting environment. That's where you can create scripts. You can type out something, you can save it, you can share it with someone else so they can also do the exact same thing you're doing. So maybe they don't know what PowerShell is, but they can get something done. So then there's also the IntelliSense. So that IntelliSense is basically an autocomplete. That's how we can start typing something, let PowerShell help us guide us along. And then there's a command add-on. That's something that some individuals find helpful. I don't really use it, but maybe it's something that you might find helpful and you can use. So we will show you that as well. Now, the other part is get help. So get help is a commandlet. So all of these commands, all of these things have like a verb and then an object. So we have get and help. So that's how you can get help on anything that you may need. So we're going to say in this example here, get help on get location, get help on get location. So this is going to give you a description of all the different parts of get location that maybe you would want to use and guide you on how to use this commandlet. But the first thing you'll want to do the very, very first time, you'll want to update your help. So you'll want to run as administrator, you'll want to get the help to get the most up-to-date items, and it gives you all of these different aspects. Sometimes you'll also get examples. And then I'll show you one more thing is how to get the online help, and that will give you even more details than this. So we are going to go ahead and show you all of that now. So we're going to jump out of here and get into the live demonstration. Okay, let's start the demonstration portion. So in order to access PowerShell, there's a few different ways. So the first way is you're going to come to your start menu. You can go to all apps, or you can search Windows Tools. So once you get to Windows Tools, you'll bring up this pane here, and there will be at the very bottom the Windows PowerShell options. So the first two are what I'm calling normal PowerShell, and the other two are ISE, which again is that integrated scripting environment. So if I were to open up this normal PowerShell and I bring it over so you can see, you'll see it's just the basic pane here. and it's just brought me into my user because it doesn't know exactly where I'm wanting to go. You would then have to, set location if you want to go anywhere else other than this. Now, if you're already in a directory and you're wanting to do something over here, there's two different ways. One is to hold Shift and right click. It will give you an open PowerShell. It's not available if you just right click. You do have to do that Shift and right click to get it. And that will bring it up the exact same PowerShell, but this time it's now going to bring you into the directory that you're in. And that would be the same as if I come up on top over here and I type in PowerShell from the address bar and hit enter. It will bring up the exact same PowerShell within that directory that I'm wanting. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I always use this PowerShell ISE. And the thing that we're going to do is we're going to right click and run as administrator. And the only reason we're going to do that for this time is so we can update our help. Is you'll want to do that to make sure you have the most updated help for this series. So what we're going to do is first, let me just give you a walk around of what we have. We have the bottom portion, which is the exact same as normal PowerShell. It's just as if we were opening it up directly right here. And then we have this upper portion, that's the scripting portion. So this is where we can write scripts, we can save them, we can open them for later, we can easily run them, we can share them with other individuals and they can run them. So even if they don't know how to write a PowerShell script, they can still open up one and run it, which is really, really amazing. And then we have this button right over here that does the command add-on. Now, this is basically like a formula builder within Excel. So if I say, let me say get child item, this is something we'll learn later in the video or later in the series, and I click it and say show details. This is basically showing all of the different attributes that I can click. And if you're wanting to type in some of the different items, you can basically build everything right here and run it directly, or you can insert it into the script. Now, I don't normally use this, but it is a helpful feature. So if you're wanting to utilize this, by all means. Now, what I like the most is, as I mentioned, the IntelliSense. If I just start saying get and a dash, it now shows me all the get, similar to that add-on. And I can start typing in and it'll take me to where I'm what I've started typing, and I can move up and down with the arrow keys, and I can hit tab to autocomplete that, or I can double click with the mouse if you're a mouse type of person. So I can double click that and it completes it. And when I start doing the dashes for all the different parameters, it then gives me all of my options here, which is amazing. But for today, we're not doing get child item. We are first starting with update help, and we're going to run this. Now, this will take anywhere between 20 seconds to 2 minutes, depending on your machine and how fast your internet is. I'll go ahead and speed that up now so you don't have to wait along with it. Okay, now it is done. You can see there's a warning message here. There are a few modules that did not get updated, and that is fine. That's completely fine. All the main ones that you're going to need have been updated. It's there. Don't worry about it. You can ignore any warning that comes up like this. So now we are able to use the updated get help. Let me type that correctly. There we go. And what you'll want to do is you'll want to then say what the commandlet that you're wanting to get help is. You can even do get help on get help, but right now we're going to follow along with the book and the introduction, location, and this is get location, something that we're going to be covering in our very next video about navigation. And what we're going to see is the name, synopsis, syntax, the exact same thing that we saw in the slides earlier. Now, this is quite helpful, but it's not the most helpful. If I need something very quick, I will do this, but typically I will take it one step further. And in addition to this, I'll type a dash and I'll say online. So now what that's going to do is it's going to open up a page within the browser, and it's going to take us directly to where we need. It's going to say PowerShell, get location, and now you have everything, even more detail. So you have the different syntaxes, as we saw, the description, but we get these very, very helpful examples of a very simple get location, and then also what would happen if you start maybe doing it within stacks, if you start doing some prompts with it, or using some of the different parameters. And then when it comes down to the parameters, it's going to say if it's a positional one, or if there's different things that are required, not required, and just give you that little bit of extra info that you can only get from here. And so this is extremely, extremely, extremely helpful. So as you get stuck later in the videos, or if you're wanting a little bit more help to go from just the basics to intermediate and advanced steps, get help, extremely helpful, especially with Get Help Online as well. So it's a little bit different video than what we normally have. Some of our later videos, we're going to have a lot more demonstration, but today, again, we're just talking about the basics, introduction, and so that's it for the demonstration portion of today's video. So thank you so much for watching this series. This is the first of many. As I mentioned, we're going to follow the book here on the screen one by one. If you want to check out that book, it's available on Amazon. And so I want to say, please like this video, please subscribe. It really does help. And if you have any questions about something we covered here, any comments about the video itself, or something you want to see in an upcoming video, please leave that down below. And again, thank you for everything, and I'll see you in the next one.